Okay, folks, here's a quick review of the Riddler figure that was produced by Mattel as a part of the Batman Classic TV series line of products. And I picked this up at Walmart for $15.97. Okay, so when I first got this figure out of its packaging, I liked its overall appearance. This looks to be a fairly good rendition of how the Riddler looked on the Batman TV show. Facially, it's an okay likeness of Frank Gorshin, the actor who played the Riddler. It's not great, but it's certainly not terrible. And as was the case with the Batman figure, when I compared this figure to other DC figures in my collection, his feet looked to be a bit on the narrow side, but as you can tell, the figure does stand up pretty well on its own. Paint-apps on the figure were pretty good for the most part. I did find some chipping in the facial area around his mouth, his nose, and just above his mask. And the costume itself, thankfully, that didn't have any errors on it that I could find. The articulation joints on this figure worked very smoothly. I had no problem in moving the head, the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the mid-torso, the hips, the legs, the knees, the ankles. And there's also additional articulation just above his knee. So let me pause here, zoom in, and I'll give you a closer look as to what the Riddler looks like. Okay. Now, there were no accessories included with the Riddler, but he did come with a figure stand and a collectible card. So let me pan down real quick and I'll show you what those items look like. Okay, so here's the figure stand and the collectible card. Now, the card also has an additional picture on its back, which I believe is part of a piece of a Batcave puzzle. So let me turn it over for you real quick. Show you what that looks like. Very cool. Turn this back over and we'll continue on with the review. Now, at first I did think that this stand was an appropriate size for the figure itself to stand on, but as I discovered, when you try to clip this card into the base, you're going to have problems trying to display this card properly, as the base is just too small to fit it into. And also, the card can potentially be damaged when you're trying to put it into the stand as well as take it out. So my advice to you is just find another way to display it more appropriately. However, I do like that the decal on the figure stand has the Kapow slogan on it. It looks just like I remember it from when I was watching the show on TV when I was growing up. And the figure does peg into place on the stand very firmly. Back to the figure itself. What I'll do now is a quick 360 of the Riddler for you and let you see what he looks like from all sides. So here he is from the front. Here he is from the left. Here he is from the rear. The right-hand side. And finally, here we are once again from the front. So overall, I like this figure. I think it looks okay, and there really aren't any complaints to speak of, aside from the included figure stand potentially damaging the card if you try to repeatedly insert it as well as remove it. And I also didn't like that the feet, they look to be a bit too narrow when compared to other DC figures. So, therefore, I think the Riddler should get a good bordering on great recommendation. This isn't a bad figure to have for your collection, especially if you're in my age bracket and you grew up watching this show during its first broadcasts on TV. So if you see it in stores, go ahead and pick it up. Okay, so on that note, take care and stay tuned for my next review. Have a good one.